Hi everyone, it's Johnny Seed here again, and today I thought I'd have a look through some of my old Dungeons and Dragons books back from the early 80s. If anybody's seen, oh hi Mo, if anybody's seen any of my Dairy Diary videos from 1983, then you'll know that that's pretty much all I did as a pre-teenager anyway. Almost every night it seems sometimes we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. I guess it's not different nowadays that kids go online and play, computer games on the internet. Although, it was a bit different because we were actually interacting with real people and talking and using our imaginations and not just running around shooting each other online. Anyway, so if you've never played Dungeons and Dragons, the next however minutes is probably going to mean nothing to you. This is something that I still collect now and again. Over the years I've bought and sold original Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I think most of the stuff that I bought I've now sold because I needed the money. What remains is my original collection, as it were, from back in the early 80s. So I don't know if you can just see, but Mo's joined me. You say hello, Mo? No, he's not going to say hello. Right, so be quiet. Right, I did have these in some sort of order. Right, so I'm going to start off with this, which I just recently dug out. This is a Dungeon Master's Adventure Log. So my interest in Dungeons and Dragons now, as far as collecting goes, goes up to about 83, 84. As you can see here, the logo here. This was the logo they came out with in the mid-80s. So this is just about in range for me. When you get past about 85, 86, excuse me, they brought out Dungeons and Dragons version 2, and that's when I stopped playing, and my sort of interest sort of stops there really. But yeah, anything from like the late 70s, early 80s, I'll be all over. So, but I was just looking through this just before, and I realised that I noticed that what this basically is as a DM, you just have like tables and things you could fill out for the different characters, and you could keep track of the hit points and what treasure they have and everything. I mean, you could use the same. You could just use a notebook for the same thing, but I guess this just made it a bit more sort of like organised. But I was looking through some of the character names that my friends had come up with at the time, and I was having a bit of a chuckle. So I'll just read a few of them out now. We have, there's a mixture here between your typical sort of sword and sorcery sort of names, like Tenbar, Fernac, Blackmore, Pelafritus. But my friend Hoggy had a character called Onion. He had one called Freeduck. I seem to remember that character, Freeduck. So he got the name Freeduck. Fleming, Cosmo, Selwyn, Serac, Dilotech the Just, Aragon the Mighty, Arango the Mighty, sorry, not Aragon obviously, Napak, Leper, another one of Hoggy's, Half Circle, yeah, not semicircle, half circle, Bruce the Berserker, Greymund Spleen Burster, with Mog, Asarak, Philos, Thrykeen. These are like, they do sound like death metal bands, some of these, don't they? Boron, Titan, Nephron, Mr. X, Yodel Yugurg, Ferret Breath, I Can Fly, Mindril Merrywood, Sindril Merrywood, and Bindril Merrywood. I'm guessing they were all halflings. Fred, one of my characters, Valdir von Black. He was an anti-paladin. Emmett Retsam, which is Time Master, backwards. So yeah, if you ever stuck for a Dungeons and Dragons character name, just find two words and say them backwards. Sheena, and then probably the best one of that is Don't Lean Back on the Chair. That was one of Brian's characters. I'm not sure if you'll be able to read that. But yeah, it's got some really cool pictures of different sorts of armour. There you go. Some teach yourself different types of medieval weaponry. So I mean, that was the thing about Dungeons and Dragons. You did learn quite a lot, especially about sort of like history, mythology and things. I don't know if I mentioned that in the video I made about the modules. But yeah, it was definitely educational, if nothing else. So that was the Dungeon Master's Log. Okay, what we have here is the Dungeon Master's screen. This is something I spent many hours sitting behind. That's the full thing. You'd sort of have it, I don't know if you can see, you'd have it like this. So you could put all your maps and notes about the dungeon behind it, and so the players wouldn't be able to see what was coming up. But yeah, it's got lots of handy-dandy tables on it for reference. And this was an additional screen off the side. Whoops, oh, what's this? Ah, right, okay. Alright, so yeah, this would be the Psionic Supplement. We never used psionics. It was far too complicated for our tiny pre-teenage minds to sort of get our head around. But it's basically sort of like, if you've seen the Avengers movies and Doctor Strange, that kind of shit that he does with his mind, that's I guess that's what psionics was. You'd be able to do things like a psionic blast, an ego whip, an id insinuation, or a psychic crush. So I guess this is like magic, but you know, using your mind. But yeah, like I say, we never really got into that. So that's, oh, these are both from 1979, by the way, and it's still in remarkably good condition. I mean, yeah, it's still a bit beat up, but you got to imagine we were using these every single day sometimes. You know, they are quite old now. Okay, so this is where it all started off for me. This is the original basic rule book which we got. Actually, the main notice here doesn't actually say basic on there. This predates the advanced and basic Dungeons and Dragons. This was just the Dungeons and Dragons rulebook as it was in 1978. So, and unfortunately, none of it remains. In fact, we just have the cover, which is there, and there's the back, and the first couple of pages. I have no idea what happened to the rest of this. Seriously can't remember what happened to it, whether it got lent out or it's just been lost, unfortunately. So that's all that remains of my original 1978 version of the Dungeons and Dragons rules. And now this is probably the one that a lot of people are more familiar with. This is the basic set. It came in a box with a few other things, the basic rules. But we used to just kind of like wing it really with the rules until like we kind of we'd been playing for a couple of years, and then we started getting a bit more serious. So with the Player's Handbook, hardback edition with a banana sticker on it. This has been not laminated, what do you call it when you get that clear plastic stuff you put over it to protect things. Oh, I didn't realise that was in there. Alright, some a bit of an additional thing. Some Free with the Guardian. Picture of the Beatles, which I'm kept in here for storage. And who's that? That's Adele. And Björk. And Mick Jagger. Oh, right. Okay, didn't know they were there. Right, so yeah, as you can see here, that's my name and my old dress. And of course the main reason why I still like these books and like looking back on them is the artwork. I think some of the artwork is fantastic. A Paladin in Hell. So yeah, it's just lots and lots of tables of things for reference. But I mean, one of the good things about role-playing games is the fact that you don't really need the rules. You can just sit down with a group of people and do it, you know, all in your imagination, and just by talking. But I guess it's sort of it sort of settles arguments when you have tables like this, because if you know if a character gets killed, you can sort of just not justify it, but say, you know, well, that's what the dice have done. Not my fault. Don't blame me. Yeah, this is my original monster manual. I've always loved this coloured, this light blue cover. Now my version here is the 1978 version, and now they did do a softback version in the UK only, which I've never managed to get hold of. I would dearly like to have one, so it's something I've been looking out for. But they do go for quite a bit of money now, these books. So yeah, here's a tip: if you're out thrifting in a charity shop, maybe you're looking for records. I have to admit, I've never seen any of these books in charity shops or car boot sales or anything like that, but I do keep looking out for them. They do go for quite a bit of money nowadays on eBay. I mean, you know, maybe 20, 30 quid or something. I mean, not a huge amount of money, but if you can find one cheap enough, it's worth picking up. And I've just noticed now this one has gone very yellowy. You probably can't tell, but it's definitely fading. So yeah, this was the monster manual. This is where, as a dungeon master, you get all the information about all the different monsters. You know, goblins and gnolls, golems. Cool pictures there. People fighting kobolds, lamias, lampreys, the lich. Yeah, it's done in pencil, so it's not completely ruined, but you know, I'm never going to sell this anyway. So yeah, so a lot of the monsters were taken from, of course, myths from different parts of the world, and there's stuff in here. I have no idea what Morkoth was from. There it is. Yeah. What's that from? Is it a fish? Is it a squid? I thought it looked like Orville. Yeah, Mind Flayers are pretty cool. Although they apparently used psionics, so a bit useless in our games. And you have a determined to get this right. There we are. A Neo Utjug. So I don't know whether, yeah, they must have just drawn stuff from fantasy books and stuff from, you know, legends. You got your things like ogres in here, nixies, pixies, pegasuses, Roper. I don't know if you can see that. We're in George Roper. Comment below if you know if you remember who George Roper was. You know, that's terrifying. Eek. Yep, so that's my original monster manual. Probably my favourite out of the three of the main books. This one probably. One day I'll get that softback. And of course the Dungeon Master's Guide with another banana sticker on it. I'm not sure what it was about fruit. I think the other one was actually a melon sticker. I think that's a melon. I realise now. There's no way that'd have been a big banana, wouldn't it? Yeah, so this is something I used hundreds and hundreds of times, and I see it's a lot thicker. But you know, you didn't have to read this before you knew how to play it. It's a bit of a weird one because it doesn't actually set out in these books how to play it. I think they assume that you'd get that from the basic version. You know, this is where you learn how to play, and this is just extra stuff on top of it. So you know, if you'd never played it before, you wouldn't start with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, because if you bought this book thinking this would tell you how to play, you'd just be baffled, and it'd put you off straight away. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff in here that we never touched on. Waterborne Adventures. You know, we never really got into that, but it catered for all different any possibilities. You know, it's incredibly, you know, geeky, I guess, for people who like stats and tables. But the stuff I really liked, what really got me, what really floated my boat, was the designing the dungeons. Yes. So yeah, that's the sort of stuff that really got me excited as a young boy. Dungeon maps. Just found them fascinating. Yeah, so that's my, which year was this out? This was my 1979 edition. It may have been a reprint actually. No, 1979. So I'm not sure if they did a softback version of this or not. I know they did a softback version of the Player's Handbook as well. Which I had up until a few years ago, and then resold. Okay, and so this is the Unearthed Arcana. This is a later one. You can see a slightly different logo. So this is where like the end limit of my interest really. This was just like additional everything. So a few other character classes like the Cavalier, new armor, new spells, which we used, you know, on and off. Like, so this was getting towards the end of when I was playing, so didn't use this as much, unfortunately. And then finally, Deities and Demigods, a book which I think they did some different. They had to reissue. I think some people took offence at the fact that it was using characters from various religions. I'm not sure. So this one is a bit more rarer. You don't see it that often for sale anymore, but it got hardly ever used. Simply because it wasn't really something you'd use in a game. Really, I'm not entirely sure what the thinking behind it was, because you know, these were gods after all. You weren't going to encounter them and fight them. Well, maybe you would. I don't know. But yeah, it's fascinating to read anyway. It's a good sort of primer on different world religions almost, and it's good. So you've got Egypt's mythos, and you have Greek and Roman, and Japanese, different figures from Japanese mythology. So I might actually reread this actually. The Nihon Mythos. Is that from a book? Let's see. The world of Nihon is the creation of the famous fantasy author Fritz Leiber. Okay, not familiar with his work. Yes, that's the Deities and Demigods book. This one is a slightly later version. This is the 1980 version. Whoops, Daisy, there we go. Right, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and come back next time for some more things. Thank you, bye.